The global trade landscape was shaken in the late 2010s by a series of protectionist measures, primarily driven by the United States under the Trump administration. These measures, in the form of tariffs, targeted key trading partners like Canada, Mexico, and China, significantly impacting the global economy. The tariffs, ranging from 25% on Canadian and Mexican goods to a staggering 60% on certain Chinese products, sent shockwaves through the international trade system. These actions were justified by the Trump administration as a means to protect American jobs and industries from what it perceived as unfair trade practices. The immediate impact of these tariffs was a decline in trade volume and an increase in prices for consumers. Businesses on both sides of the Atlantic felt the strain as supply chains were disrupted and costs escalated. The International Monetary Fund warned of a global economic slowdown, highlighting the interconnectedness of the global economy and the potential for widespread damage from protectionist policies. The European Union, a staunch advocate for free trade and multilateralism, found itself in the crosshairs of the Trump administration's protectionist agenda. The EU, with its significant trade surplus with the United States, became the next target, raising concerns among European leaders about the future of transatlantic trade relations. This escalating trade war threatened not only economic stability but also the long-standing political and security alliances that had defined the post-World War II order. As the tariff storm gathered momentum, the European Union faced a critical juncture. The bloc had to decide how to respond to the aggressive trade policies of its closest ally, while upholding its commitment to free trade and a rules-based international order. The challenge was immense, demanding a delicate balance between protecting European economic interests and preserving transatlantic unity in the face of growing global uncertainty. In the face of mounting trade tensions and the looming threat of U.S. tariffs, French President Emmanuel Macron emerged as a vocal critic of protectionism and a staunch defender of European interests. Macron, a fervent believer in multilateralism and a strong European Union, recognized the gravity of the situation and the need for a united European response. He called for a robust and coordinated strategy to counter the negative impacts of U.S. tariffs and to protect European businesses and workers. Macron's vision for a more assertive and independent Europe extended beyond mere economic defense. He argued for a comprehensive approach that included strengthening Europe's industrial and technological base, bolstering its defense capabilities, and reducing its reliance on foreign powers. This ambitious agenda aimed to equip Europe with the tools and resources necessary to navigate an increasingly complex and uncertain global landscape. Central to Macron's strategy was the need for greater European economic sovereignty. He proposed a series of measures aimed at boosting public and private investment in key sectors, reforming the European Investment Bank to better support European businesses, and prioritizing European industries in public procurement. These proposals aim to foster innovation, create jobs, and enhance Europe's competitiveness on the global stage. Macron's call for a united European front against protectionism resonated with many EU leaders who shared his concerns about the Trump administration's unilateral actions and the potential damage to transatlantic relations. German Chancellor Angela Merkel, while advocating for dialogue, also stressed the need for the EU to defend its interests. Other EU leaders, including those from Italy, Spain, and the Netherlands, echoed the sentiment of a coordinated European response, emphasizing the importance of multilateralism and a rules-based trading system. The European Union's response to the escalating trade tensions with the United States was characterized by a delicate balancing act. On the one hand, the EU sought to preserve the vital transatlantic relationship and to resolve the dispute through dialogue and negotiation. On the other hand, the bloc recognized the need to protect its economic interests and to stand firm against what it perceived as unfair and damaging trade practices. The EU's commitment to diplomacy was evident in its efforts to engage with the US administration to find a negotiated solution. The European Commission, the EU's executive arm, initiated discussions with US trade representatives to address the issues at the heart of the dispute. The EU also sought to build alliances with other countries affected by US tariffs, such as Canada and Mexico, to present a united front and to increase pressure on the US to reconsider its protectionist policies. However, the EU also made it clear that it was prepared to take retaliatory measures if necessary. The European Commission drew up a list of US products that could be targeted with counter-tariffs should the US impose tariffs on European goods. These counter-tariffs were carefully chosen to have a significant impact on the U.S. economy, while minimizing the damage to European businesses and consumers. The EU's approach was a reflection of the complexities of the transatlantic relationship and the high stakes involved in the trade dispute. The EU and the US were not only major trading partners but also close allies on a range of global issues, from security to climate change. The EU was therefore keen to avoid a full-blown trade war, which would have had devastating consequences for both sides of the Atlantic. In recent years, the relationship between the United States and France has been tested by the imposition of tariffs. Both nations have found themselves at odds over trade policies, leading to economic and political strain. Despite these challenges, efforts are being made to find common ground and resolve disputes through negotiation and diplomacy. Meanwhile, France has been strengthening its ties with China. This burgeoning partnership is driven by mutual economic interests and the desire to expand influence in global markets. France's engagement with China highlights a strategic pivot, as both countries seek to capitalize on new opportunities and navigate the complexities of international trade. The global landscape of trade alliances is continuously evolving. Traditional partnerships are being reassessed and new alliances are forming. This shift reflects the changing dynamics of global power, where emerging economies are playing an increasingly significant role. Nations are adapting their strategies to maintain competitiveness and secure their positions on the world stage. Given these developments, the importance of dialogue and strategic partnerships cannot be overstated. Open communication and collaboration are essential for addressing global challenges and fostering sustainable economic growth. As nations navigate this complex terrain, building resilient and cooperative relationships will be key to achieving long-term stability and prosperity.